Do you love TV shows? We do too. Hello everyone, I'm Jeff.
And I'm Anna, and we're the hosts of We Judge a Show by Its Pilot, a podcast hosted by us, a married couple with an endless love for TV.
Whether you're searching for a new favorite series or ready to revisit an old classic, we're here to guide you through an infinite world of TV shows.
Each episode, we watch and discuss the pilot for shows while also sharing personal stories that parallel the storyline.
So if you're tired of endlessly scrolling and not sure what to watch next, tune in and let us do the searching for you.
We Judge a Show by Its Pilot. New episodes every Tuesday and Friday, wherever you get your podcasts.
Your new favorite show is just one click away. Hello everyone, welcome back to our pod.
Hello, hi, what's up?
Nothing much, just a Saturday, another Saturday where we're doing a little recording, got a little recording stint ahead of us because you got an extra little break from work travel, so we got some extra time to record, and we're getting all that done before you jump right back into traveling.
Yeah, it kind of was
about a week and a half.
Yeah, it was kind of a happy ending to the week, but
there it is.
Yeah, I was supposed to be going to Arkansas tomorrow, Monday, and Tuesday. However, winter is here all over the South and Midwest and wherever.
We did the Game of Thrones episode at the perfect time because winter has come.
Yeah, and so the Atlanta airport was chaotic yesterday. Arkansas got a lot of snow. So when I usually fly, I go through Atlanta. And then my contact there actually sent me a message because she was concerned about me traveling, of just getting stuck somewhere and, not being able to go. And so we talked it out and we decided that I was just going to do the training on Zoom. So that ended up working out. And I kind of, told you, I said, I feel like I got 72 hours back.
Yes.
Because traveling time to me is just dead time. I can't do anything. I can't be on my computer really. I can't make phone calls because I wouldn't do those in public. It's not like I can really do a lot of work when I'm in flight or in airports. And so that to me is just a lot of time suckage. So I'm, happy to be able to just do it from home and have that time.
Well, good. I'm glad because you don't have to leave and you also don't have to travel in crappy weather, which would worry me because I was looking at, I don't think it's going to snow up in Arkansas right now, but it's going to be down to 20 degrees or something like that.
I think it all kind of semi-melted, but she was also concerned about once it melts, it gets really icy.
Gotcha.
And obviously Arkansas is very hilly and mountainous. And so I'm glad I'm home. I do have another work trip. The following week, I leave on the 22nd. So I have about a 10-day kind of little reprieve.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, well, we are continuing new beginnings and fresh starts with one of our favorite shows, show that we both love. One of the first shows I ever introduced you to back before we were even dating, when we were just hanging out and being friends and pretending like we were just friends. And we weren't fooling anybody. And so I remember showing you this because I was like, there's a very specific episode. You and I both love The Real World, and that was one of our first big things that we talked about. And there is a episode of Happy Endings in the third season that it kind of revolves around The Real World. And it's also a really funny episode.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And since it's a sitcom, it's really easy just to watch a random episode. You don't need to know much of the backstory. But then as soon as I moved in with you, we watched the whole series. We started from the beginning.
Finish,
But this is one of my favorite shows, and
I love it.
And I'll talk about how I discovered it and all that once you do the episode and series.
And I love it especially for holidays because they have so many holiday episodes. They have
some of the best holiday episodes.
Thanksgiving and Valentine's and Christmas, Halloween. I don't know if they have Halloween. Pop and Lock Santa. Oh, they do. Yeah, they have the Halloween where he's the baby. So yeah.
Oh, that's such a good episode. Yeah.
So I love it because if it's a holiday, I'll be like, oh, we'll put on this episode. And like you said, it's definitely a show that you can just randomly watch an episode. All right, so we're getting started.
Go on ahead.
All right. Happy Endings pilot. Happy Endings was an American sitcom that premiered on ABC on April 11th, 2011 and ended on May 3rd, 2013. The series ran for 3 seasons and has a total of 57 episodes. The show was created by David Caspi, who also wrote the pilot, and it was directed by the Russo brothers. We've talked about the Russo brothers before, but just in case you missed it, they went on to direct Captain America Winter Soldier, Captain America Civil War, and the Avengers Infinity War and Endgame.
Yeah, no big deal.
Yeah.
Just like the highest grossing Marvel movies of all time.
The series follows the dysfunctional lives of 6 best friends in their late 20s and early 30s living in Chicago, trying to figure out what it means to be an adult. The cast includes Eliza Coupe as Type A Jane Kirkovich Williams, Alicia Cuthbert as the ditzy Alex Kirkovich, also Jane's younger sister, Zachary Knighton as daydreamer Dave Rose, Adam Pally as slacker Max Blum, Damon Wayans Jr. as the lovable Brad Williams, and he's also Jane's husband, and Casey Wilson as the outgoing Penny Hartz. Unfortunately, upon Happy Endings' initial run, it was compared to shows like Friends and How I Met Your Mother, and that show was actually still airing and one of the most popular shows on TV at the time. And with the success of other current shows like New Girl and Big Bang Theory that also centered around a group of friends, Happy Endings didn't quite catch on. Due to low ratings and an erratic episode schedule, the series was canceled. Caspi and others at Sony TV tried to revive the series with the introduction to the streaming platforms like Amazon and Netflix, but were unsuccessful. Despite its short run, Happy Endings has gained quite a cult status and is beloved by fans still to this day. In July 2020, a special Zoom episode of Happy Endings was released to show what the characters are up to today. The event was organized to raise money for Color of Change and the World Central Kitchen, supporting the Black Lives Matter and COVID-19 relief. You can currently watch the entire series on Hulu.
All right, so we talked about how you were introduced to the show. So this was I've talked about it in detail before, so I won't get back into it because we're going to have fun on this episode.
Yes.
We're not going to get heavy. But when I was going through my sad time in my life, there were a few shows that I kind of started watching during that era that they were comedies and they were just really funny, and they kind of I think Big Bang Theory, I talked about that. Like Big Bang Theory was one of them, the Sheldon smiling meme, that thing made me cry laugh. But it was I guess the show had already got canceled. I guess the show had already been canceled because they were playing reruns of it. I think it was on like a random channel like VH1 or something like that. It was like on a random channel. And I recognized Alicia Cuthbert, and I was just like, oh, I haven't seen her in something in a while. Girl Next Door is like one of my favorite movies. So was one of my favorite movies. Haven't seen it in a long time.
And she had been on 24.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, okay. And I recognized Eliza Coupe from Scrubs and Zachary Knighton from the Hitcher remake. So it was like I recognized a few people. And then, as soon as I looked at Damon Wayans Jr., I'm like, that's Damon Wayans' son.
Yeah, it's hard to deny his parentage.
I think I also just so happened the first episode I watched was the one where his dad came, and it was Damon Wayans. And I was like, oh, they look exactly the same. They sound exactly the same. So it was one of those things where I was like, oh, the show is so funny. And I went and looked it up, and it was canceled already. Oh. And so I was just like...
a little late.
So I maybe it was on Hulu at the time. It was when streaming was like really new, and because this was like 2013. This was like right after the show got canceled, and I remember I found it somewhere, but then I was like they didn't have all the seasons, and so I was like, okay, so I might have to cut this out. I downloaded it, and so we have the whole season now, but. So it's just one of those shows that it always puts me in a good mood. It's one of those like go to sleep shows. You put it on and it's like a comfort show.
You can put on this Thanksgiving episode and I am out.
Oh, you're out.
Yeah, by the time he's leaving to go get the clams.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so...
I thought you said clams.
I don't know, for clamping stuff. Yeah, so this is definitely one of those shows that I've introduced to so many people, and anytime I meet someone that like also watches Happy Endings, I'm like, okay, you get it. You know, it's like kind of one of those.
You are a good person.
It's like a cool test kind of thing. It's like, okay, you know stuff. So it's kind of interesting that I'm not trying to put other shows down. I'm not trying to like insult other shows because we all have our own different tastes, but it's I always get kind of frustrated when there are shows that I feel aren't as good, or they're a little bit more broad and formulaic. I'm not trying to be mean, but shows like Two Broke Girls or Last Man Standing that are just very like broad shows. Why those are the shows that last for season after season after seasons, but it's shows like Happy Endings that always get cut after a second or third season. Why do you think that is?
I don't know, because like you said, there were so many shows.
There was
that
kind
were
of an
very
oversaturation,
much like it.
Yeah,
so,
of like the friend group show.
Yeah, I don't know, like just kind of on the surface of it. I think like I will just use the shows that you mentioned as example.
Mm-hmm.
Like you had The Big Bang Theory.
Yeah.
Kind of had its whole like nerdy scientist kind of.
Mm-hmm.
I will use this very loosely, edge to it.
Yeah.
I didn't watch Two Broke Girls, so I don't really know like what their thing was about, other than them being broke and trying to find jobs or something. I don't remember.
They worked at a diner, and one had kind of been, Kat Dennings' character had been kind of like a hustler her whole life, and then the blonde girl, I forgot her name, she was like a rich girl that got cut off.
Gotcha. And then there was How I Met Your Mother, which was just epic in and of itself. The New York edge, and
the cast
itself too was pretty massive and already super well known. Not that the ones that were in Happy Endings weren't well known.
Allison Hannigan and Neil Patrick Harris,
correct,
were pretty big. Well, it was a pretty big deal when that show came out.
So right, and so you look at this cast, and they were pretty famous, but definitely I wouldn't put them on the level of Neil Patrick Harris or Allison Hannigan.
They were kind of like, you knew their faces kind of thing. Like,
so I think maybe they just suffered from the like, okay, you're not like the least popular kids in the school, but you're not the most popular kids. Like, and who can we afford to cut?
Right. And now that I think about it, Happy Endings was very niche in that, like, it was very reference heavy. There was always like a reference for something from the 90s, something from the 80s, and it was like they reference like fashion trends. And I think today Happy Endings would be more successful because we're so like nostalgia obsessed now, but like maybe back in 2011, 2013 that wasn't as prevalent as it is now. Because now, I mean, like, everyone my age, all they ever type about and post about is, remember when we were kids and blah, blah, blah. Like, it's, maybe it was just ahead of its time. But, yeah, it definitely, watching it, just the 57 episodes, it's not better than How I Met Your Mother or Friends or New Girl. Those are all great. Those are all fantastic shows. Big Bang Theory, those are all great shows.
Right.
It's not that. But, like, I just feel like Happy Endings is just a little bit more, like, you're just a little off-center with your sense of humor. I think maybe it's just a little... I just mean, like, Happy Endings is just a very specific type of humor where it's like you kind of have to get the references rather than maybe like How I Met Your Mother or Friends, where it was like just the humor was a lot broader.
Okay.
I guess. I mean, like, I'm just trying to think of, reasons why possibly what set Happy Endings like apart from the other shows that did last so long, but Happy Endings, fell short. It really just seems like it was just an oversaturation, and they were throwing everything at the wall, and Happy Endings didn't stick. It's just unfortunate timing.
I don't know how to describe this, and I was kind of alluding to it just a second ago when I was describing the other shows. I feel like Happy Endings was extremely a good version of a situation comedy where like we've talked about, like every episode was unique of its own.
Right.
Like you didn't have to watch any other episode to know really what was happening.
Right.
But in the other shows, like How I Met Your Mother, Big Bang Theory, it was all situation comedy, but there was like a thread,
an ongoing story.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't
That's
know
true.
if then that hurt it,
Yeah.
or because there was no tie-in
It was just
to it.
too situational.
Yeah.
That's a
So
good
I don't
point.
know. I mean,
Yeah, that's a good point.
I kind of see that because I never felt like there was any like ongoing like story other, than, I don't know. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah.
Okay. So I know that you claim that I am your only serious relationship that you've ever been in.
Yeah.
That I'm your only like serious. I know I'm your husband, but like boyfriend.
Yes.
So you probably don't have a lot of breakup stories.
I kind of have like one little one.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're talking about breakup stories.
Oh yeah, we're doing it. So in the pilot of Happy Endings,
our favorite trope.
Someone gets left at the altar, which I don't want to witness that ever happen.
Oh, God.
But there's a part of me that was like, dude, if I went to a wedding and that happened, I would be very sad for everyone involved, but I'd also like be telling that story for the rest of my life. I would be like, I went to a wedding once and someone literally left the altar, like
I'll
straight out of a
actually
movie.
say there are a couple of weddings that I've been to and been in that I was like, I wish this wedding wasn't happening.
Yeah.
And actually the ones I'm thinking of, they have since ended. So
Right. Well,
yeah. Anyway, so we're talking about breakups.
Yes.
So my breakup story. So mine one was, so I dated this guy when I was a junior in college. I had met him through mutual friends. He wasn't Greek. He was from Arkansas. I'm not going to say his name. And we dated. I invited him to an AOPI party, but I kind of also knew he was dating like another girl. Like we weren't totes exclusive or anything.
Gotcha.
Well, I had another, like we all kind of had the same friend group, and that was the semester that my dad died. And so the night before actually that my dad died, we had gone out, and I didn't really know at this point that my dad was super close to dying. My parents had kept a lot of stuff from me, mostly because they didn't really want me to like freak out and drop out of college.
Right.
And so the night before my dad died, I had gone out and I was staying at a friend's, and he was with me, and then another couple was with me, and I won't say her name because she's part of the breakup story. And so we were all hanging out at our friend's trailer. We spent the night. And so the next day, my sister and my brother called to tell me that my dad had passed away. And so the other friend, not the one who owned the trailer, but the friend who was there with her boyfriend, had kind of walked around campus with me as I was telling like my professors and administrators who like were over the clubs that I was in that my dad passed away. And so she had really been there for me that whole day. And, she was there that night before. I left for Thanksgiving holiday early because Thanksgiving was the next week. And so I had taken off like 10 days for Thanksgiving break, and I came back after, and, of course it's, if you have a friend who their parent has died, it's always very awkward in the sense of like, what do you say? What do you do? Like, how do you console them or just start talking? So
especially when you're that young.
Yeah. Especially when you're like 20. So I came back and I could tell like the guy I was dating, and then that friend who had been hanging out with me the day that my dad died, like things seemed like really weird.
Okay.
Like I just felt like things were off. But I knew he had been dating someone else as well. Like we were not exclusive. So it wasn't that, but I could tell like when we were all together that there was like this sort of chemistry between them that you could like cut with a knife. Like
Gotcha.
It was heavy. And so I just sort of point blank asked him. I was just like, is there something going on with you and her? And he was like, yeah, we hooked up when you left for your dad's funeral. And, you know, I actually completely appreciated his honesty, because I'm a big believer in, you don't want to be with me. I am not holding a gun to your head. Like, I am not going to be that person that is going to be like, please stay with me. I'm the person who's going to go, be free, loved you, liked you, whatever it is. Okay, so keep that story in mind. Okay. So it gets better over the years. So I was like, I'm out of the picture. Y'all go on, be merry, be happy. I wish nothing but the best for the two of you. Mm-hmm. No hard feelings to him, no hard feelings to her. We were just not going to be friends much longer than that day. And peace out. Okay, so they started dating. And in fact, they dated for quite a while we were still in college. She joined a sorority, not mine, but another one, and, you know, kind of started her own social circle and all of that. Well, there was one girl who was in her sorority that sort of really did not like me. That guy and I also had another mutual girlfriend, and she and I were still friends, and we actually are still friends to this day. And so her name is Diana. And so Diana and I, you know, she was just like, he was so stupid. I don't even know what he's thinking. Like, you were probably like one of the nicest people, but that's who we wanted to be with. And I'm like, yeah, again, no big, you know, no skin off my back. I'm good. So one night, Diana is out at a convenience store. And mind you, this is maybe like a year or two later. This is like 91 or something, and she's at a convenience store, and his girlfriend, again, I'm not saying her name, and her sorority sister, who did not like me for whatever reason. I had like never run in any circle with her. I guess she just chose not to like me. We're at the convenience store where Diana was. And so Diana had stayed friends with him and his family because they were from, like, I think the same hometown.
Gotcha.
And so she's like, you know, he's my friend. There's never been anything romantic, you know, so like I'm just family friends with them. So Diana was in the convenience store, and sorority sister girl walks up to her and is like, I kid you not. She's like, my name is Anna Guerra, and if you do not stay away from so-and-so and so-and-so, she's like, I am going to kick your effing ass. And Diana's like, you do know that I know who Anna Guerra is, right? And she was just like I was like, I don't know why she wouldn't have. I mean, we went to a very small college, small town. And again, my name is pretty unique.
Right.
And you know, there were not a lot of like Spanish girls or whatever. I don't know. But Diana, I think, goes back to her apartment and calls me, and she's like, oh my God, I have got the best story to tell you ever. And so she told me this, and I was like, what a raging lunatic.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to tell you, like, I had never talked to him again. I mean, since that day I found out, I never spoke to either one of them again. Like, I didn't stalk them. I didn't send hate mail to them. I didn't crank call them. And so it was really funny because I was just like, why am I even being dragged into this as a fake person? And so when Facebook came around, I remember Diana friended me on Facebook. We had lost touch just because that was my generation. We didn't have a way of keeping a lot in touch. And Diana found me, and she's like, is this the real Anna Guerra? And so I was like, yes. And so it's a joke. I don't know if she's posted it lately, but she always comments. I always comment on her birthday, the real Anna Guerra.
That's funny.
And so that was, I just will never forget that. So I have had attempted identity theft back in the 90s or the 80s or 90s. Yeah, it was a couple years after we broke up, but it was just funny because she was just like, I know who Anna Guerra is. Like, you are an idiot,
Yeah.
and I will talk to and be friends with whoever I want, you lunatic. And so it was crazy. But that was just, I still don't know why they used my name in the story to threaten her. I mean, I didn't have anything to do with him. Like, if you're upset or you're threatened by her, like, you go fight her. You know, like, why do you have to use my name in it? So it was just funny. I guess they were trying to, I don't know why they used my name, but that was my funny breakup story.
Okay.
But I know that was kind of long. That's my only real good one. I mean, I don't count like high school ones. I mean, those are, I mean, I never really super dated. I guess I have one more unless you have another one that you want to.
I have a whole segment planned, so
Can I do my
Go
one
for
more?
it.
Okay, so I did date sort of one guy in high school. He was on the football team, and just the definite, like high school 3-month, dating romance. Well, in New Orleans, and I don't know if I've ever talked about this on the pod, in New Orleans on Sunday nights was like the dedication night where you would call up the DJ on the radio and dedicate songs to people.
Yeah.
And it was a big thing in the 80s to like listen to that on Sunday nights, probably while you were doing your homework for Monday. You would listen to all the dedications to see if you heard anyone you knew or whatever. And apparently someone called the radio station and pretended to be me to break up with the guy that I was dating.
Oh my God.
Again, people just are impersonating me all over
I
the state of
know.
Louisiana. And so it went around like wildfire. And so I remember like the next day at school, he came to find me and he was like, well, I heard you broke up with me over the radio. And I was like, okay, first off, if I'm going to break up with you, I'm going to break up with you to your face.
Yeah.
I'm not going to call up a freaking radio station because I'm trying to think of what the song was. I can't sing. I've said that before on this pod, but it was like the REO Speedwagon song.
Okay.
I can't fight this feeling
Oh,
anymore.
yeah. Mhm.
And is that a breakup song? I don't remember, but I think it
Kinda.
was. I think
Yeah.
it was that song, and I was just like, I'm gonna choose a much better song than that. Like, I don't know, and I just was like, if you think that was really me, then we don't really need to be in this relationship anymore anyway. Because
Yeah.
I would never do something like that, and I would hope you would know me better than that. And so that was my one other breakup story of me breaking up with someone that wasn't even me. That
Yeah.
was someone pretending to be me. And we found out later that it was actually a girl that liked him that also went to our school. She was the class ahead of us,
Gotcha.
pretending to be me, so to try to break us up so she could go out with him.
Oh,
But,
okay.
So I guess, it worked because we
Yeah.
broke up. We didn't
All right.
date anymore after that. All right,
Cool.
I'm ready to hear this.
Okay,
oh my God,
so-
do you have a list?
Of course I have a list.
Oh my gosh.
So I am going to be John Cusack from High Fidelity. I'm going to talk about my top 5 breakup.
Ooh, okay.
So I'm doing this not so much like the worst breakups, the ones I was heartbroken over, because no one who wants to hear about that.
Okay.
Some of them were, but like I'm going by like most embarrassing breakups.
Ooh.
This is what I'm doing. So the first two I'm just going to kind of mention because these were the two that the first one I'm going to talk about was the first time I got I would say the first time I really had feelings for someone. I was in 11th grade. Once again, it was puppy love, 3-4 months long. I thought I was in love with this person, and she broke up with me over the phone. And I was devastated, and I remember like I hung up on her and she kept calling, and I just remember being like, you already broke up with me, why do you want to talk to me on the phone? Like, and I was like, I remember like I will say it, I was crying, and it was just I was devastated, and
Pookie.
well, I had my little Tootie Skeeter, so he snuggled with me, I'm sure.
He comforted you.
Yes. And so another one I will talk about. So this is the only real one from my adult dating. Because when I really was dating and when I was single, it was during like the dating app era. So I mean, I'm ashamed to admit I did ghost girls, and I had been ghosted before, so it was like I think that was kind of what mostly happened, and I don't even consider those like relationships. Those were just kind of like,
had you ever met the people?
some of them, yeah, some of them, yeah, but I mean, like, so most of my adult dating was just kind of like very casual. So it was I was in one long-term relationship in my 20s, in my late 20s, and yeah, that relationship ended. I broke up with her, so it was like I broke her heart, but then she was dating someone in like another week or two, so it really wasn't that heartbreaking. So this was the first relationship I was in after Mary Jo passed away.
Oh, okay.
And I doubt I doubt the girl that I dated is ever going to listen to this.
Okay.
But just in case, I just want to say I do not harbor any ill will. I don't harbor any, like, I'm not mad about it or anything, but I might sound mad when I talk about it in a second.
Okay.
But I'm not actually mad. I just, I get really passionate when I talk.
Okay.
So this was the first relationship after Mary Jo died. This was a big deal for me. Like, this was a big deal that I like had feelings for someone, and she had feelings for me, and we really got along, and it was like I felt like attracted to her, and I was like, I want to get to know this person. And I very much told her at the very beginning, I was very straight up with her. This is what I'm going through. She already knew all of it. We worked together, so it was like she knew my backstory. But like I kind of just repeated it. I'm like, look, this is what's going on. If you just want to be friends, or if you just want to be casual, if you want to be friends with Ben, like whatever, just like tell me, but don't be like, I want to be in a relationship with you, and then just kind of like flake out on me.
Right.
And that's just what I didn't want to, that's what I couldn't handle at that time. But she was like, no, I like you. I want to see where this goes. I have feelings for you. I want to be in a relationship with you. So I'm like, okay. So we were together, and about a month goes by, and then all of a sudden, you talked about the 7-year itch. I would jokingly call it, in my dating history, it was the 30-day itch, because it seemed after a month or two of being in a relationship, they would just get like tired of me, I guess, or like they would just like, something would just change and something would shift.
Yeah,
and I'm
you've
like,
talked about that with me.
I don't know what it is. I reached a point where I'm like, there has to be something wrong with me. Like there has to be something that I'm doing. But so we worked together. We worked at the same place, and I was in my car. It was about maybe like, not even 10 minutes before my shift started. And I was in my car going, doing something on my phone. I get a text message from her. She breaks up with me via text 5 minutes before I go into work. And
like, what does a text say?
What did it say?
Yeah.
Well, it was just like, basically it was like, this just isn't the right time for me, and I'm really sorry, and I think it would just be best if we broke up. And all I remember is I got so mad. I was like, so just to let everybody know, it is very hard for me to express anger. I am a very emotional person. It is easy for me to feel in my feelings, but the one emotion that I've always had issues with is anger. I don't have like anger management problems, but it's just like, well, I don't have anger. It doesn't get out of control. I'm not like that type of angry person. I just have trouble getting angry about stuff, because I just know at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Like at the end of the day, like it doesn't matter. And if for anyone who knows me, who's like, why don't you ever get mad about stuff? That's why. Because I'm just like, anger is such a like difficult emotion for me to channel, and so I just choose to get upset and I just choose to get sad, or I choose to like be self-deprecating or self-loathing or whatever, like. But it was in that moment where I was like, no, this feeling I have is anger. And because it wasn't like she didn't know, or I didn't communicate any of this with her. Like I told her, like, I'm in a situation, and that should have been my clue that I wasn't ready to be in a relationship. But I didn't know that at the time.
But you love
like,
love. Like,
I do. And
yeah.
yes, I love love, and I'm just one of those people, and I don't like getting angry, but in that moment I was angry, and I remember It was in all caps. And I'm going to have to bleep it, but I was just like, you know what? Fuck you. And then I blocked her, and then I quit that job that we worked at together, and I went back to George's. And it was just like, yeah, I was like, and of course, like, she tried to paint it like I was the immature one because of how I responded, but I was just like, I don't care. Not mad about it anymore. Just one of the few times that, like, anger really took over, and I really couldn't control.
Can you give me a clue as to which one it was? Was it?
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
Yes. All right. So the rest are more publicly embarrassing.
Oh, okay.
So, and these are from my youth as well. So these aren't like adult stories. This is when I was a kid. So at my 14th birthday party, I had dated this girl that I went to school with at the very beginning of the school year, because my birthday's in October.
Yeah.
At the very beginning of the school year, we dated for like a month or something like that. And I was just like, at the time I was in the Baton Rouge Children's Choir, and there was another girl in there that I had a crush on.
Aww.
And so I broke up with the girl I went to school with to ask out the girl that I was in choir with. And she said yes, and we started dating. And I stayed friends with the girl that I was in school with because we were in the same friend group. So when I was handing out the invitations to my birthday party, I invited her, the girl from my school, obviously, because we were in the same friend group and I wasn't going to exclude her. And she was like, oh, I'm grounded. I can't go to your party. So I'm just like, okay. So I was just like, so I went and invited all of my theater choir friends, because I'm just like, okay, cool. Like I can kind of like have this. I don't have to worry about that awkwardness. So she shows up to my party anyway, and someone is like, yeah, she was like, oh, who are the other kids? She was asking like one of our friends, like, oh, who are these other kids? She's like, oh, those are Jeff's friends from like choir and theater, and that's Jeff's girlfriend, and like pointed at her. She was like, how long have they been dating? And he didn't know. I think he just said, I don't know, a few weeks. We had been dating for like not even like 2 weeks or something like that. Like we just started dating. And that was why I almost didn't invite her to my birthday party, because I didn't really know her. But then one of my other friends, who didn't even go to the party, told her about it. So then I kind of like had to invite her. It was very 8th grade. This is very 8th grade. And,
sounds like it.
And so the girl that I went to school with comes up to me and just like kind of calls me out. She's like, how long have you had a girlfriend, Jeff? I'll never forget it. And what made it even worse is that there was a camcorder involved. And so this was being recorded.
Was it like it just standing there recording the party?
No, it was like I had a camcorder, and I originally had it just like filming stuff. And then like one of my other friends had grabbed it and was filming stuff. And that was when all of that happened he got like my full reaction, like on camera. I'm like, great friend.
Is there a VHS of this somewhere?
No, it was destroyed. I didn't even keep the tape.
Darn.
No. And so it was this very public like thing. And I was like, we haven't even been dating for 2 weeks. She was like, you broke up with me 2 weeks ago. I'm like, no, I didn't. We broke up like a month ago or something like that. And because I was like, I wasn't like breaking up with a girl being like, I got this girl next. No, it took me like 2 weeks just to get to talk to this girl. Like I wasn't that guy at the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was not my first public kind of. And then the girl that I was dating kind of came up to me. She was like, did you date her before me? And I was like, yeah. Did you date us at the same time? And I said no. And the girl that I went to school with was like, he's lying. Like, he's a liar. And then the girl broke up with me in front of everybody, and it was on camcorder. That should be the most embarrassing breakup I've ever had, but it's not.
There's more.
I have 2 more.
Okay.
Yeah, so I dated a lot. Even I was girl crazy. I don't think anyone's I think I've said that before on the pod, so this isn't a surprise, I'm sure.
And I know about most of these,
yes.
So yeah.
Maybe you don't know these because I was like middle school age during
kept
this.
Stories from
yes.
me? How dare you?
Okay, so there was a girl that the church that I went to, there was like a really big youth group, and a lot of them, I was like friends with a lot of them, and we would do these like weekend retreats where we would like all stay at someone's house, and we would do these like skits, we do these blah, 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 Bible studies, all that stuff. And there was a girl that I really liked, and I was like almost positive that she liked me, because she was like calling me on the phone, and she was like wanting to talk to me, and she would like sit next to me during like Wednesday night like youth group. And so I'm just like, okay, I was like, I think she likes me. And then I asked one of my friends, I'm like, do you think? They're like, yeah, like she asks about you all the time, she asked me for your number, like she likes you, you know. So I'm like, okay. And so we have this weekend retreat. I'm like, oh, this is like, we're going to be on this retreat together, and I'm going to like get to know her, and we're going to start dating. And so we went to Celebration Station, and
the one over on
Airline to play some arcade games, I'm sure. I had written her a note because I was way too chicken to like actually ask a girl out. I wrote her a note asking her out, and then before we walked into Celebration Station, she walked up to me and she whispered in my ear, she said yes. So I was like, yes. I was like, the girl that I like, I actually like picked up the right signal. I didn't like misread anything. She's not saying I just want to be friends, because that's what happened to me a lot. I was always everyone's friend. No one really thought about me romantically until I hit puberty, because I was very short and very annoying, I'm sure. But
you're cute though.
So we're at the Celebration Station for like not even an hour, and then she comes up to me. She's like, "Can I talk to you for a second?" I'm like, "Yeah." And so she comes over to talk. I'm assuming she thought we were going to be talking in private, but like we're in the middle of the arcade at Celebration Station, so like this isn't in private. There was like a semicircle of people from church like in the youth group that were kind of like knew this was about to happen.
Okay.
Because I guess she told everyone that she said yes because she didn't know what else to say, and that I'm like, maybe she said yes to me, and then like maybe her friends like started like making fun of her. I don't know. Like, I don't know what happened. I still don't know what happened, but like she broke up with me like in front of all those people. And she was like, look, I really like you, but as a friend, and when you asked me out, I didn't know what to say. I felt really bad, but like, don't take it personally, but like, I just like you as a friend. And I'm just like, okay. And I was just like frozen. I was just like,
so this all happened in the same like
this happened.
event.
This is on record my shortest relationship.
There you go.
This is less than an hour, maybe like 45, 50 minutes. So I don't know. Still to this day, she was calling me on the phone. She was sitting next to me. Like everyone was like, she likes you. And then I remember there were these two girls that like I was friends with. They were like a couple years. They were like 2 years older than me, and I had become friends with them, and they were like, you know, I was like their little brother. They were just like, I'm gonna kick her ass. Like she's like, I'm gonna kick her ass because she has been talking about you nonstop. We all thought she liked you. Even the older kids thought she liked you.
Yeah.
And so it was just like, I'm like, I don't know what happened. So I didn't make that sound as embarrassing as the one on camcorder, but that one felt more embarrassing. Maybe because I was like a little old. I was a little younger.
Well, if everyone was looking in a semicircle and hearing the whole story,
like the camcorder one should be the most embarrassing one, but like I technically didn't do anything wrong because I didn't cheat on anyone. I didn't date anyone at the same time. It was just the girl I went to school with was being very loud, and it was like the girl that from choir was like really kind of like soft spoken. So I think it like scared her maybe, but like,
gotcha.
Yeah. So then the final one, and this this happened to me in 6th grade. So this might be my first humiliating breakup.
Okay.
I was in 6th grade, and there was a girl that I really liked, and I didn't know this, but one of her friends liked me. One of her friends had a crush on me.
Okay.
So I'll make up names. Okay. So
I was going to say that would have helped my other story.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So I'm going to say I had a crush on, I had a crush on Diana. I had a crush on Diana, and her friend, let's just say her name's Chelsea.
Okay.
I'm just thinking of people that I know.
Okay.
Chelsea had a crush on me, and so I'm just like, I didn't know this. But I had a crush.
You didn't know that Chelsea liked you in any way.
Yeah, but I had a crush on Diana.
Gotcha.
But it was one of those like middle school, like everyone had a crush on this girl. So it was like it was like that 6th grade where you like really like this girl, but you don't know why you like this girl.
Right.
It's just because everyone else.
Probably like just the girl who blossomed first. Like,
probably.
You know,
I mean, like thinking back, like
blonde hair,
I
blue
don't remember.
eyes.
She looked more like my boo.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so I liked her. So she was like writing me. We used to kind of sit next to each other in one of our classes, and we were friends. So it wasn't like she sent me a note. I'm like, what's this? She must be in love with me. But like she sent me a note, and she was like, do you have a crush on anyone? And I was just like, yeah, but I'm not telling you. Or I said something like that. She was like, well, I know someone who has a crush on you. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then I didn't, so I'll explain in a second. So she had sent me, it had, she was like, guess which one it is. And it was like a checkbox, and it had her name, one of her other friends' names, and Chelsea's name on there. So I checked off the friend that I'm not naming, the random friend. I think it was like someone that probably like sat next to us or something.
Okay.
I checked her first just to like make sure, because I was just like, it could be one of these two, but I wanted it to be Diana, so I didn't pick her first. So I was like,
Gotcha.
I can't handle that rejection like right out of the gate. So I hit that check, and then she wrote back no. And then I checked her name second, and then I wrote like a question mark next to it. I did something to signify like, please let it be this. Like, maybe I remember like in some way kind of insinuating that like I wanted her to be the one that had a crush on me, not knowing that. And it's funny because we just watched Sex Lives of College Girls. This was a little test that they were doing.
Yes. Okay.
And she was trying to find out if I had a crush on Chelsea, but that's a really weird way to do it because she's saying, guess who has a crush on you? So it was like once again, very sixth grade mentality.
Oh yeah.
It makes sense when you're 12. But yeah, so she wrote back, and she was like, I think she wrote back yes with like a exclamation point. And she wanted to see Chelsea wanted to see if like I had a crush on Diana.
Oh.
So, because I think she thought I did. And I was like, my reaction. So, by the way, I forgot to mention, Chelsea's in our class. So she's like not sitting next to Diana, but like kind of near.
She knows this is all transpiring.
She knows this is all going on. And now looking back on it, I feel bad for Chelsea now, because back I was just thinking about how embarrassed I was, but like I got like my reaction, I got like really excited. Like I was like, I thought the girl that I had a crush on had a crush on me, and I got like really pumped up, and I like wrote back like,
I love
oh my
you.
God, I like you so much. I've liked you since 4th grade and blah, blah. Like I did this like 2 paragraphs worth of you know how I am.
I know. You're journaling, so yes.
Exactly. Yeah, this was peak journal years. And she was just like, I like you too. I think she like realized what she had done, and then she had realized that like she probably shouldn't have done this. So she kind of played along. It was like the last class of the day. I think it was like one of the last classes of the day. She kind of played along, and then she called me that day and was like, I'm really sorry. I don't like you. And I was doing that because of, I wanted to see if you like Chelsea because Chelsea likes you. And I was just like, so you don't like me? It was just the most like, it was a really weird way to be crushed, because I was like, I wasn't mad at her because I liked her. So it was like, I wanted to be mad at her, but I was just like, no, this just sucks. Like, this is just like really embarrassing.
And now I have to be in this class with all of y'all.
And so now I go into class the next day, and she like is trying to talk to me in class. I'm like, nope. I was just like, I didn't talk to her. I was just like, she would pass me. I remember one time she like passed me a note, and I like looked at her, and she had like my name on it, and I just like went like that, and I was just
tossed it.
Yeah, I was being my dramatic self. But yeah, that is, and so then I forgot about the ending part. So then, because I was ignoring her, because this is middle school, because I was ignoring her, then she started to like me.
Well, of course.
And I remember it was like not even a week later, she called me and was like, hey, turns out I have a crush on you. I'm like, I don't care. I was just like, I don't like you anymore. I said something really mean. I was like, I'm sorry, I don't like you anymore. And she's like, okay. And then she didn't talk to me for the rest of the year. So yeah, those are my breakup stories. They're not terrible. Breakups aren't nearly as, you don't want to talk about the bad breakups. So, like, those are the ones that I'm not going to talk about on the pod. These are, I will say, the most memorable breakups I've ever had.
So I kind of had one that I will say, it was no one ever that I dated. So it's kind of a weird story. So
Okay.
it transpired from about 1987 until about 2015.
Jesus.
Yeah. So this is a very bizarre a bizarre Anna crush story. So in high school, I loved all the soccer players. I dated one my senior year, and then there was this one that I just had the mega crush on. He lived on the West Bank. He was, I thought he was like super cute, but it was very unrequited. Never did anything about it. In fact, I don't know if I've ever talked about it, but one of my good friends, her name is Lisa, not my AO Pi Little, but my high school friend Lisa. Because, I didn't have a date to prom. She actually called him and pretended to be me. Again, identity theft. What is it?
I don't know. That's actually kind of weird.
Yeah. I kind of knew she was doing it, but then I wanted to kill her. So she called him pretending to be me and asked him to prom pretending to be me. But our prom was very odd. It was during the middle of the week. And so we couldn't really go with junior, sophomores, and freshmen because they had school.
Yeah.
So anyway, so he couldn't go and nothing ever came of it. Nothing ever. I never talked to him. In fact, one of his cousins is in my high school friend group. So, very unrequited, never really saw him or ever talked to him during high school or college. Okay, fast forward to about 1998. I graduated high school in 87. So it's around 1998, and it's the advent of things like AOL and school websites and schools getting emails. And my former friend Colby from high school gets in people's business. It was his favorite thing to do. Sorry, bleep that out. And he had apparently gone to my high school's alumni website and entered in my contact information in the directory. I didn't even know that it had existed because that's how little I knew about the internet in 1998. So all of a sudden I'm logging into my AOL email and I see an email with high school crush's name and a very common subject line of "What's up?" And so I opened it and he's like, "Hey, Anna, it is so-and-so. And I saw your email on the Franklin alumni directory and thought I'd drop you a line. And, I'd always wondered what had ever happened to you. And, just kind of going into this diatribe of he had always wondered if we had ever gone out, it's 11 years later. And I'm reading this and I hit reply and I'm like, who in the hell is this? I'm like, what psychopath is emailing me pretending to be so-and-so? I'm like, this isn't funny because, that was my high school kind of crush and I never did anything about it. Then he wrote back and was like, no, this is really him. This is me. And I was like, okay, I need to put you to a test. I'm like, what was your soccer number? And he's like, you knew my soccer number? I'm like, duh. And so I asked him all these questions, and I was like, oh my God, maybe this is him. Okay. So we went out once when I was in law school. He lives in Texas and he came to town and we went out once. Never again really saw him because right after law school, I moved to Seattle. So I moved back and my boss was then based in Dallas where he actually lives. And so I had just jokingly sent him an email and was like, hey, what's going on? I'm in Dallas. Maybe we can meet up for a drink or something. And well, he kind of never messaged me and we never met up. Then maybe about 6 months later, he had messaged me. I think we were maybe friends on Facebook by this point. And I think he saw that I was coming back to Dallas and he was like, oh my gosh, I totally regret not seeing you that time you were here. And I, wish I could have, met up with you. And he's like, why don't you come to town a day early? We can hang out. And I had actually planned to come early because I was going to stay with a friend of mine and I usually rent a car. And so I was like, okay. And he goes, plan anything you want to do. Here are some ideas. Pick 3 things to do. And so I picked a restaurant, I picked a wine tour and just a nice bar for us to go and sit and hang out at. And he ghosted me. Total ghost. I was just like,
That's weird.
And I kind of felt bummed because initially I was like, he was the one who reached out. I was like, all of the times actually. So, well, minus the time I had gone there the first time and then he like didn't really respond. So I was just like, okay, so I make that trip, I leave, and all of a sudden I start seeing on his Facebook that, he had started dating someone.
Okay.
And so I was like, you know what? That's fine. Like, it's not like I'm going to move to Texas anyway. It was really just to like meet and talk to him or whatever. And so literally like a month or so later, the girl like totally dogged him and like just broke his heart. He was like all in and everything. And I just I sort of remember going, karma's a bitch, and so he never messaged me again. I mean, we're still friends on Facebook. I mean, I'm still good friends with his cousin and, whatever. But like that one was funny because of the longevity of like the back and forth and the advent of things like internet, email, social media, and the way that you can contact people and see things kind of transpire over the years. Because you talk about notes. So he knew back in high school that I actually liked him because I will say that I was kind of a lunatic and I had written song lyrics and had mailed them to him. I had typed them out so you couldn't see my handwriting.
Gotcha.
And I had mailed them to him. So when he had first emailed me and I was testing him, like that it was really him, I said, tell me something that only you would know that maybe I would know. And it was to test to see if he had gotten those letters. And he was like, you sent me song lyrics in the mail. And I'm like, it's you. I was like, unless you had told like a ton of people, like only he would have really, really known that.
Yeah.
And so that was, kind of like my ever unrequited high school crush. And he's doing good. He's in Texas where, no like hate or anything. And so those are my stories. Your stories are good. Mine are kind of lame, but nothing exciting.
All right, you want to get into the plot summary?
Let's do it.
We got another question, but we'll save it for another episode.
Okay.
Because we've been talking for almost an hour.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Makeups and breakups.
All right. Happy endings, pilot plot summary. At a church, Alex and Dave stand at the altar saying their wedding vows, surrounded by their friends Jane, Penny, Brad, and Max. Before the ceremony can finish, though, a man arrives on rollerblades, screaming for the wedding to stop. He declares his love for Alex, much to the shock and horror of the group, and begs Alex to leave with him. Alex turns to Dave and apologizes, running away with the man, leaving Dave devastated. So that's where the original concept came from, according to Caspi, was that you always see like the bride run away with the guy at the end. You always focus on the bride and the guy, but like what happens to the groom? Like that whole concept. Yeah. Especially in those movies where like the groom isn't necessarily like a bad guy. At a bar, Penny, Brad, Jane, and Max confer about how awful the ceremony was while discussing Brad and Jane's pre-pregnancy cleanse that cuts out all meat, sugar, and alcohol. Couldn't do it. Meat, I couldn't do. I can do without sugar and alcohol, but meat, can't do it. Penny finally hears from Dave, who assures his friend that he is all good in the hood, worrying all four of them. Max sarcastically toasts the wedding as being the last time all six of them would be together, but Jane says she's sure that in a week all six of them will be back at the church laughing about the whole situation. A week later, Dave lies curled up on the couch, surrounded by wedding gifts and half-eaten food, also singing and playing Closer to Find by the Indigo Girls on repeat, one of like my favorite cuts of seeing Dave curled up, wrapped in a blanket, singing Closer I Am to Find over and over again. Very funny.
It was cute.
Penny, Jane, Max, and Brad enter and delicately ask how he's doing. He assures his friends he's fine, explaining what he's been up to in the past week, including inventing new drinks and eating the world's largest chocolate bride. His actions greatly concern the group, and they try to convince him to put on pants and come out with him to help him move on. He insists that he needs to stay near the phone, hopefully suggesting that Alex will call. But Brad reveals that Alex went on their honeymoon with the rollerblade guy, prompting Dave to finally leave the apartment. At a club later that night, Dave dances with an attractive young girl as his friends look on, half amused and half disgusted. Dave sarcastically compliments the girl on her tattoo and begins to passionately kiss her, to his friends' admiration and disgust. The next morning, Dave exits his room clearly hungover, hearing the doorbell ringing. He answers it to find that Alex has returned, sporting a tan, and slams the door in her face. Alex forces her way in and tries to apologize to Dave, but he refuses to accept her apology. He asks about the rollerblade guy, and Alex reveals his name, Bo, and says that she didn't do anything with him. Alex says that she had been having second thoughts for quite some time, and she felt Dave had taken her for granted, such as the time he gave her $40 for Valentine's Day, which I think my boo would be happy with that.
Oh, yeah. I love cash.
Dave assures Alex that she is the only girl he's ever liked and says he couldn't even imagine being with another woman again. It's at that moment the girl from the club exits the bedroom completely naked, asking if anyone has seen her tongue ring. How 2011 is that?
Totally.
Rendering both Dave and Alex speechless. The next day, Dave, Max, and Brad begin to help Dave move out of his and Alex's apartment and into Max's. Max expresses excitement at having Dave as his roommate, but the two are interrupted by Brad's disgusting cabbage smoothie. He reveals that the cleanse is disgusting, telling his friends he's already lost 11 pounds in one day. Max asks Dave if Dave will be coming to Penny's 30th birthday party, and Dave assures him that he will, promising that he'll handle the situation with Alex like an adult. Later that night, the group gathers at the bar, preparing to celebrate Penny's birthday. Dave arrives with the girl, exciting Max, but horrifying Jane and Alex. Dave brings the girl from the club. Dave taunts Alex by aggressively kissing the girl, Jackie, in front of her, greatly upsetting Alex. Jane tries to assure Alex that Jackie means nothing to Dave, but she dismisses her, leading Jane to ask the waitress to bring her vodka disguised as water for the rest of the night. So Jane's immediately not on the cleanse now because she needs to drink in order to get through this dinner.
Right.
Penny suddenly arrives with her new boyfriend Todd and introduces him to the group. Most of the group is excited to meet him, but once Todd excuses himself to the bathroom, Max tells Penny he's sure Todd is gay. Penny denies this, but Max points out that she had no idea that Max was gay when they dated in college. Brad arrives carrying several 30th birthday balloons, congratulating Penny on turning 30. The group gives him a dirty look, and Todd says that he thought Penny was turning 26.
Oh, yeah.
Penny confirms the lie and gives Brad a pointed look, greatly confusing him. At this point, Jackie interrupts, revealing that she's still in high school, shocking the group and horrifying
Yeah.
Dave. Later, the group eats dinner in tense silence. Brad attempts to steer the conversation towards Penny and Todd, asking how the two met. Todd reveals they met on J-Date, once again confusing Brad until he realizes that Penny has again lied to Todd about being Jewish. Because J-Date, I don't know if anyone remembers that, it was a dating app exclusively for Jewish people.
Wow, okay.
Jane then attempts a toast to Penny and Todd, but Dave and Alex interrupt and throw insults at one another about their recent breakup. As things get more and more tense, Alex tearfully reveals that she ran away because Jane scared her right before the wedding with talks of kids and moving to the suburbs, causing Dave to begin. That causes Dave to start fighting with Jane. Brad tries to defuse the situation, but inadvertently discovers that Jane hasn't been following their cleanse, much to his annoyance. She angrily storms out after chastising Brad and Alex, leading Brad to walk out after her. Dave sarcastically congratulates Alex for ruining everyone's friendships, while Alex sarcastically congratulates Dave for banging underage sluts. Jackie angrily tells everyone she's 18, before throwing her drink in Alex's face and storming out. At this moment, several waiters arrive carrying a large cake with a 30 candle on it for Penny. Todd asks Penny one last time if she is in fact Jewish, causing her to reveal her lies, and storms out after destroying the cake. Todd soon follows after Max insinuates he's gay, leaving just Max, Alex, and Dave at the table. Max congratulates the two on ruining the birthday and leaving the two sitting at the table, ashamed of what they'd done, alone. Outside the restaurant, Todd awkwardly bids Penny goodnight, causing her to think Max was correct about him being gay. The next morning, Max, Penny, Jane, and Brad eat breakfast at a diner, expressing their sadness that all 6 of them can't ever be together again. They're surprised by the arrival of Dave and Alex, and Dave reveals that the two worked on their issues a bit the night before, and Alex notes that she and Dave agreed to keep the issues of their breakup between the two of them, saying that she doesn't want to be the reason that the 6 of them can't hang out together. They sit down, and Alex reveals a cake to replace the one from the previous night, this time with a 26 candle on top. As the group heckles Max for his weight and eats the cake, Dave and Alex share a look at one another, smiling as they enjoy being with their friends again. End of episode.
End of episode.
So, I don't think... I forgot how long Dave and Alex were together before, because they'd known each other since they were kids, but... I don't think I could just like casually hang out with my ex in my friend group. I think I would just have to be like, I'm sorry, I can't do this. I know it's a sitcom, I know it's a show, but like realistically, I don't think I could do that.
Yeah, no, I don't think I could either. And I think that it's evident that like, I know a lot of people like laugh or like look confusing at me that like I haven't really ever dated a lot. And I'm like, it's true. 'Cause like, I feel like I'm still friends with most of the guys if I've ever had like one date, because there wasn't really anything bad between us.
Gotcha.
So I don't know how to explain that, but like none of them were ever long enough to develop like serious feelings. Whereas if we were no longer together, that I would dislike them a lot. So like, I mean, you know, most of the guys, if I went out with them once or twice, I mean, there was that initial like connection. There was maybe something that we had in common. It just wasn't enough to sustain a relationship, but we could remain friends.
Gotcha.
So there was never any bad blood. I mean, you know, like I've said, I never talked to college guy ever again. I mean, sleeping with your you know, sort of girlfriend that you're dating's really good friend while she's at her father's funeral, not a good look.
Right.
And yeah, I didn't need to be part of that relationship any longer. Guy I had a crush on in high school, yeah, we never like ever officially went out, so there's nothing for me to hate about him.
Yeah.
And high school guy, again, I've seen him at class reunions. He is kind of off the social media grid, but again, I think, you know, we've always been friends.
Yeah.
Although at one of our reunions, he did talk about how he thought I broke his heart. And I'm like, oh my God, are we still talking about this? I was like, really? You know, so it was kind of funny that he still was talking about like how I was like, no, I was like, oh my God, like, please stop. But anyway, yeah.
I think if I saw any of the girls that I mentioned in the top 5 most whatever, and we acknowledged each other, I wouldn't have any of them. I wouldn't have any. I'd be like, hey, what's up? How you been?
Yeah.
I don't think there would be any really like ill will. So yeah, I mean, there are exes that I didn't mention that like I never want to see again. But those aren't any of none of the ones that I listed are I feel that way towards. So yeah, breakups happen and it sucks, but they happen. It's part of life. It's part of dating. It's how you figure out what you want and what you need.
Exactly. And what you don't want.
Exactly. I think that's what I learned the most. Are you ready to wrap this one up?
Let's do it.
All right, because I'm ready to make some chili and have some chili.
It is chilly outside and it's perfect chili weather.
Well, that about wraps up this episode of We Judge a Show by Its Pilot. Thanks for tuning in. If you haven't already, go ahead and follow us on whichever platform you're listening to this podcast on. That way you'll be notified every time we publish a new episode. You can also follow us on Instagram at We Judge Pilot Pod. We're also on Facebook. You can leave us a comment, suggest a show for us to watch, or leave some emojis in the comments. You got a little list going.
I do. I just started writing them as you were going through the pilot summary.
Yeah.
I have the bride and the groom, of course, the smiley face for happy, the heartbreak, the cocktails, any of the cocktails, the meat, sweets emoji, cash, cabbage, the water, the church. They do now have an actual coin emoji, so that is
cool.
for penny. The rollerblades, any of the, I don't know why I wrote clothes. I don't know. Chocolate. The kiss emoji, the hangover face emoji, the tongue and the ring emoji.
Nice.
the birthday, like the cake or
Yeah.
the party hat, and then the dinner plate for the breakfast the next day
Gotcha.
that they're having. All right. Well, we are going to head out, but we'll talk to you soon. Thanks for listening.